Zach Bailey gets his revenge.
Big key forwards are important again.
And Freo is still shit.
This is the DrewFooty Show.
Long road, took a tumble down this black hole. Stuck in Sunday League, but I'm on levels with Ronaldo.
Hello, you pumpkins, and welcome back to the DrewFooty Show. Round 3 is almost wrapped up. It's like a wrapper with like a little hole in it because Geelong and Hawthorn are on later, so we can't talk about that game.
A little bit of leakage.
But that's alright because there's lots to read into in this round so far. So the first game of the round was Thursday night, Collingwood versus Brisbane at Marvel instead of the Gabba Gabba. It was a great game, one of the games of the round probably. And the big story here was Zach Bailey kicking a goal after the siren. He got robbed the week before. Someone took his lunch money. And then he went and played at GMHBA. Karma came back in a nice way. And he kicked a goal after the siren. Every kid's dream.
Nice little poetic justice on that.
It was. It really was. Something I picked up from this game was Cameron and Danaher. They're linking up very well. I don't know in football terms because I'm an absolute nuffy. But Danaher really leads up the ground well. And then that just leaves Cameron in lots of space. And you can just fucking kick it anywhere into the 50. And Cameron's quick enough to get on the end of any lead pretty much.
We talked about it all pre-season that Brisbane maybe lacked that huge, tall, hulking forward, and now with the rule changes, that recruit is looking even more important.
We had our mate Mitchy Ryan at the game. He's a big Collingwood fan, and he wasn't very happy with his boy's performance or result, but we spoke to him earlier. Here's what he had to say. Alright, we've got Mitchy Ryan on the phone, live from Geelong.
Yep, I am in Geelong. Caden's territory. Good to be on.
And you're a big fan of Collingwood, which is why we've got you on today. Very intense game Thursday night. I thought you were going to pip it. You seem to have the intensity right up there. Brisbane weren't having many chances going forward, but when they did go forward, they were clinical. How did Collingwood actually perform on Thursday night? Were you satisfied with the performance?
Yeah, this is a tricky one as well, because I've been thinking about it, when people have asked me, how do you think we went? I think we were very good, but at times we sort of just switched off. I'm not really one to just rip into players, but I think we have a few players in our team, a few individuals who need to lift or probably don't deserve a spot on the side.
Who are you thinking?
Cal Brown missing a goal from 25. At those times of the game, you've got to slot those goals from, 25, 30 metres out. So
that wins you the game in this scenario, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Hoskin Elliott can't be dropping uncontested marks inside the 450. That bloke's scared of his own shadow, but it was sort of built for that finish, especially when they got the point at the end there, and then it was 5 points. My dad said to me and some of my mates who I was there with, they're like, it's going to be a 1 point win to Brisbane. I thought we did all right. We had a few standout performances. Grundy was insane. I know he was versing some sort of C-grade ruckman. I think we're looking all right. I'm happy with how we've gone so far, even though we're 1 and 2.
A player who's impressed us, Jesse, is Joshy Dacos.
Yeah, like you said, Mitchy, you had a couple of strong contributors, and Grundy finding form. Taylor Adams has been really good again. But with Josh Dacos, he kicked a couple of elite snaggers like he's prone to do. I think for a lot of the broader AFL community, maybe him coming on as a gun is a bit of a surprise. But I guess for a Collingwood fan who's watched it a bit more closely, I guess to what extent were you surprised to see Dacos sort of come in and assert himself on the team?
He played his first game there. He showed a little bit of promise. He always had that sort of touch and classy sort of skill element that his dad always had. He just burst onto the scene last year, really, and he's such a crucial player now, just playing on the wing. I think that's his best position. Even we've seen him go on the midfield to add a little bit more speed, which we've been lacking in previous years. It was almost sudden, like everyone just thought maybe Dacos won't live up to, his expectations, but he's a gun.
Now,
yeah.
I reckon we're going to see you out there, Mitchy. I've just sent you my strength program.
Yeah.
How long until we can see you in the AFL, and what's your draft sort of expectation? What number do you think you'll be going?
Well, you know what? I think I'm either 2022 or 2023 now with the under-19 system. So you've got the sort of two chances, a bit of a wing. You could almost call me a Josh Dacos, I reckon. I'd probably get a game at North Melbourne at the moment.
Everyone go check out Mitch Ryan's channel. He makes some of the best AFL content and cricket content as well. The cricket content connoisseur. So,
love the cricket content.
Thanks for coming on, Mitchy.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
The second game of the round wasn't allowed to get uploaded to Pornhub. It was absolute at Marvel Stadium. Western Bulldogs pounded the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing.
I think when you let a player like Josh Bruce, who's not a terrible player, but if he's kicking 10 goals on you, you've had a shit day.
On North Melbourne, the worst team in the last 10 years.
All right, let's set the framework here. 10 years ago was 2011, and that was the Gold Coast first year. And I'd say Gold Coast and GWS...
They had Gary Ablett, though.
They did, but in terms of competitiveness week to week, they were pretty bad. So was GWS the following year. And then you've also got Mark Neild's Melbourne team in there, and I think Essendon straight after the Asada thing when they finished last. Pretty weak as well. Look, I'm not saying North are definitely going to be better than those teams, but it's too small a body of work. Too early to call.
Yeah, too early to call, but that is a big cauldron of shit teams in there, and just being mentioned in the same sentence as those, it's not very good. Terrible time to be a North Melbourne supporter at the moment, and the Bulldogs are looking great. Friday night footy. Who would have thought Adelaide and Gold Coast would be headlining the Friday night slot? Those teams don't usually get Friday night games because they're not big name teams, but for a wooden spoon team and Gold Coast who have never made the top 8, this was probably the game of the round, if not a top 5. Yeah, it's a big dick. These two teams have a lot of talent and it was on display in a very competitive way.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing from this game, other than just the fact that it was exciting, was just that the skill level was good. I was looking at Gold Coast, who didn't even win, and the way they sort of handballed out of traffic, the skill level was really good, and it looked like two teams that could potentially play finals. Obviously, it's a long season, both young lists, as I keep banging on about. But honestly, that goes close to game of the year, maybe just pipped by the Bulldogs and the Eagles previous week.
I think the Adelaide home ground advantage probably carried them across the line, but Gold Coast were popping up with goals just so randomly, counter-attacking very well. Someone else who's been popping up with goals is Tex fucking Walker. Mate, he's in all-Australian form.
I think he's possibly the best set shot I've seen in a long time. Like, if he gets it in within 55 metres, like that
Restraining order.
that ball is sailing over the fence in terms, like his actual, just the way he connects with the footy and it just sails through the post. It's just a joy to watch. And
how many goals does he kick now? Like 17?
17 in 3 games, I think.
That's nuts. The power forward is back, baby. Another young team that continues to impress is Sydney. They've beaten the fucking premiers, Jesse, on their own turf.
Not just beat them, but killed
Thumped them. Clapped their cheeks. The story of the round was their youngsters, a new youngster again. Sam Wicks, I think he kicked 3 or 4, and he was just the star of the show.
And then there's another young boy, Chad Warner as well, who could win the nomination this week, East Fremantle boy. I wonder what's going to happen with them. They're so good. They're looking like a top 4 team. I wonder if now opposition teams are going to be like, all right, how do we stop Sydney? Out of all the teams in the comp right now, they're looking as dangerous as anyone. It's ridiculous.
Tom Hickey looked very good as well. I don't know if you saw much of the game, but he was looking like in the best form of his career.
Do you guys see the Swans finishing top 8 this season? If so, where?
Yes.
Yeah.
I see them finishing top 8. Maybe in that, I reckon 7th is a reasonable spot for them to reach for. We say it every fucking week, but they're a young side. They're prone to slip up and probably gas towards the end of the season. But with their run of games that they have, so Sydney have Essendon, GWS and Gold Coast in the next 3 weeks. And on form, they would win all those 3. So, yeah, huge fucking fly. Get away. They could be potentially 6-0, which is a perfect start to the season. That's going to put them in good stead to make finals.
I'm completely convinced they're going to play finals. I think there is a chance for top 4. Like you said, the arguments against them, they might gas. Buddy Franklin didn't even play and they won by 8 goals. So I'm convinced that they're the real deal, to be honest. This is a really, really good team. I'd say 4th or 5th right now, but we do know that my predictions ain't worth shit.
Yes, that's right. You're stinky on the tips.
I didn't tell you about last night, did I?
Smegma. From one upset to another. And no, I'm not talking about Jesse's mental state. I'm talking about Essendon versus St Kilda.
This goes down as the biggest surprising result of the round.
Yeah.
And there was
easy.
A bunch of surprising rounds.
Yeah.
Arguably the year, because the form difference between the first 2 rounds and round 3, that was the biggest shock I've seen so far.
Essendon are a big stinky team. Everyone knows this. But St Kilda, their rise was great last season. Everyone predicted them to push top 4 this year. They scraped past GWS, who have been slapped by Melbourne and Freo. So in hindsight, that's not a really great result. They got belted by Melbourne, and now they've been belted by a bottom 4 team. Yeah,
this is an unforgivable loss, to be honest. And considering the outs Essendon had, we talked about it on the DrewFooty Show, or just the tips last week. Caldwell out, Dylan Shue out, their ruckman Sam Draper out. Essendon had every reason to drop this game. Not only did they win it, but they won it by 75 points. It's ridiculous.
Jade Gresham done an Achilles as well.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's a season ender.
Absolutely sucks.
Things are going bad to worse for St Kilda. Here are St Kilda's next few games. So they've got West Coast at home, Richmond at home, and Port Adelaide away. I think those are 1, 2 and 3 for the hardest games that you can play, right?
Yeah.
West Coast, Richmond, and Port Adelaide away. It's going to be hard for St Kilda, but they could potentially be 1 and 5 in 3 weeks' time.
They did beat Richmond last year against all odds, so there's a chance they pinch one of those games for sure. But even if they do win one of those games, it's still sitting at 2 and 5 or whatever it is.
2 and 4, yeah. Someone commented before the round, How long do you think till Essendon sort their stuff out? That was Griffin Hall 1-3-2.
I think Essendon are going to get their shit together approximately last Saturday.
Saturday night football, West Coast versus Port Adelaide. Everyone thought it would be the game of the round, but Port Adelaide didn't show up. And that was to your happiness.
Yeah, it was. It was really good. I think the way the Eagles waltzed the ball out of the centre, obviously from my perspective, it was great. I thought Port were very, very disappointing. Look, I don't think it's a structural talent thing. We know how good Port Adelaide are. Don't want to write them off. I just think they didn't show up in this game, and it was a bit of a pathetic effort in that first half. And it allowed the Eagles to build some confidence and really put the game away. And the game was over just like halfway through the second quarter.
I don't think this is too much to read into for Port Adelaide. We've got a question here from Aaron Costanz. Just watch West Coast beat Port, and being an Eagles fan here in the UK, I'm absolutely buzzing. Shuey took us up a gear in this game. Do you think he could lead us to a flag this season? Huge call. And does his injury hurt us for the next few weeks, considering his performance against Port? How important was Shuey?
First of all, shout out to an Eagles fan in the UK, but also a subscriber to Drewzy from the UK, so that's pretty sick. So thanks for following along internationally. Shuey is one of our best players. I'll just call it what it is. I think there's a big fucking... What is it? A crow?
Tex Walker.
Yeah, big Tex Walker. Holy shit, that thing. I can see its balls. Yeah, look, Shuey is a really, really important player. The Eagles midfield, on paper, strong, but it hasn't really been playing well.
Hasn't been clicking.
It hasn't been clicking, that's for sure. And Shuey is probably our best on ground as well. So, hugely important player. And it does come at a time where the fixture's hard for us. We got St Kilda away. Who knows what kind of team St Kilda will play.
Which sort of St Kilda will show up.
Thank you, yes. I struggle with that. Then we got Collingwood at home and Geelong and GMHBA. So it is a shit time to go 3 weeks without Shuey, but we're just going to have to suck it up and deal with it. And yeah, to answer your question, I think the Eagles can win the flag this year. I think I'm not saying they will, but there's a chance. There's at least 5 or 6 teams you'd put in that sort of bracket right now, and if the Eagles finish top 4, I think they're definitely a chance.
And then Sunday. Sorted out my stream, set it all up, all excited, watched Carlton versus Freo, and a bunch of amateurs just show up at Marvel and just got pounded. No intensity at all.
And then there was a game.
It was literally an amateur performance from Freo. We matched their intensity, or they probably outperformed us in the first quarter, and then they just kept that intensity up the whole game, and we couldn't match it. As simple as that. That intensity was something that we've been talking about in the last few weeks from Carlton. You know, they've been playing 3 quarters well against Richmond and Collingwood.
Yep.
Which are 2 great sides, we know that. So when they've shown up against Fremantle with that same intensity that they've shown against those good teams, it just paid off, and they were much better than us, which is disappointing because we've been so neck and neck with Carlton for the last few years. They just showed that they were much better than us and probably have developed more than us in the last 12 months, which very, very much made me sad.
The mental side of football was huge, and I did remark before this game I could see Carlton going in hungrier than Fremantle to win this game because they were 0-2. A lot of pressure from a big home crowd as well would have played a factor. So I don't know if I'd read everything into that. I think Fremantle are not completely hopeless. It was just a case of Carlton are definitely a quality team with a lot of potential, but I think mentally they just clicked into gear for this game.
It's not looking like it's going to be a great season for Freo, I don't think.
Rats.
Last week we titled the episode, Is Patrick Cripps Overrated? It was clickbait. We both said we rated Patrick Cripps, but someone said, this aged well, mate. He bullied Freo. Matty Bam won. Thanks for that, buddy. Yeah.
To clarify, that was one of the questions that we put as the title. Somebody asked that.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't necessarily our opinion.
Yes.
We just baited you into clicking the DrewFooty Show. But I think we both agreed that he was just a bit out of form.
And we've got another one here from Sam Smart who said, could Sam Walsh make All-Australian this year? I predicted this in my big calls. I said Sam Walsh will make All-Australian. I think he had 38 touches.
Did he? 38? Wow.
It was his career high.
I don't see it personally. I think he's a very, very good player, but the midfield All-Australian, or the All-Australian midfield rather, is very, very competitive.
Yeah.
Very, very good midfielders don't make it every year. I would bet a lot of money that he will be an All-Australian within maybe 2 or 3 years, but this year, I'd be shocked, but I mean, like I said, my predictions ain't worth shit.
The last game of the round was GWS versus Melbourne. GWS are a sinking ship. Absolute sinking ship. Cornelio got injured. Who else got injured?
Phil Davis and Matty DeVore.
There you go. 3 very experienced players for them. With all these injuries mounting, no wins this season, and just with all the talent they've wasted away over the years, the pressure's mounting for GWS. Good. I don't like them.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. They've been given everything. They have literally been given so much by the AFL. All the talent that they've let slip through. Fuck you. You should have done something with that, and you haven't, so I'm not going to give you any sympathy at all.
I think they were just overloaded with assets, right? And they have a salary cap, so they had to pick and choose which players left. Then the ones that left happened to be Jeremy Cameron and Zach Williams to a lesser extent. I think the ones they kept are still pretty good. I think they're underperforming.
But Melbourne, 3-0, perfect start to the season for them, and it was a mature performance from them. One that Melbourne fans wouldn't be too familiar with.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one thing Melbourne have lacked, just like a real maturity and stability to that team.
Consistency. They started the game slow, but they built into it, as good sides do. And Melbourne are looking the goods for top 6, I'd say.
Yeah, first time undefeated since 2005 after round 3.
Wow. Cozzy Pickett, 4 goals, and we talked about him last week, how good he is, but he is a walking highlight reel, that boy.
Yeah, it really adds a different dimension to that team. I think a lot of the best teams have a really quality small forward that can really damage you, and off the top of my head, it's been a while since Melbourne's really had someone like that, so he is killing it, for a second-year player too.
They've got Geelong at the G, so that's going to be a huge test for them. That will be probably the game of the round, I think, and it will tell a lot about where Geelong are and where Melbourne are, so I'm very keen for that. That's going to wrap up this episode of the Drew Footy Show. It's been going well. I've been loving making it. It's been a highlight of my week every week, and it's because of you guys, so keep commenting, keep the support coming through. Go check out the True Footy YouTube channel. We'll see you in next week's episode. Make sure you come back to this video to comment your opinions on the round.